Boys, the first question from the assessment, as you can see here, asks students, or it says, how do athletes use flexibility training to improve performance? The key parts of this question that I've gone through and bolded and underlined are looking at obviously flexibility training, but more importantly, how these different types of flexibility training can lead to an improvement in the performance. So they're the two areas there, the flexibility training and also how they improve performance. We're going to have a look at our syllabus. We'll notice that we see flexibility training here. So we're looking at static, dynamic, ballistic. So because this question's worth 3 marks, anywhere from 1 to 2 of these, so if you've got at least 2 of these covered with good detail and showing how they improve performance, that's going to lead to 4 marks for this question. So how do athletes use flexibility training? So static, which can also include P&F, ballistic and dynamic, lead to improve their performance. Have a look at our sample answer here. First of all, some of the things that we like about this question is he's written the dot point out there, which is very, very good. So he knows what he needs to talk about. He's mentioned there are 3 types of flexibility training. Static, and he's underlined it, so it stands out straight over the mark and no statics there. Gone through and explained what static is, and as you know, and the importance of it, but also has given an example to go with it. He's also included as a part of static P&F, which we know. The second type being dynamic, form of flexibility training that involves the stretching of muscles. Example, lunges would be his example is included there. This is usually completed during warm-up and on sport-specific movements can be imitated by, or example, by throwing a ball, so for shoulder rotation. He's then gone on and spoke about the third type being ballistic flexibility and what that involves. So he's covered 3 areas here. Even though you need to do 2, he's got 3 in there. He's gone through and explained it and how it's used to, flexibility training is used to improve performance through the increasing in the range of motion of muscles, for example. Dynamic stretching can be used to imitate game-like movements. This allows the joint and muscles associated with that movement to be physically prepared and warmed up. So he's gone through, given examples, he's stated the type of flexibility training, he's stated it, explained it, and he's given an example of that type of flexibility training. And just down the bottom here, to really tie back into what the question is talking about, even though he's done it a little bit further up. Through the increase of the range of motion in muscles as a result of flexibility training, athletes are able to minimise the risk of injury and improve their performance due to the ability to perform skills in their full range of motion. So if you go back through that answer there, he's covered the different types of flexibility training, but more importantly, throughout his answer and at the end of it, he's tied in how it's going to lead to improvement in performance. So flexibility training is used to improve performance through the increasing in the range of motion of the muscles. Another example. So that's what we're looking at there, which is a very good answer. Now, some of the feedback from this question. Most students were able to include the 3 types of flexibility training, which we've already gone through and spoke about, which was quite good. The syllabus content was well covered. Some students failed to include examples. So each area you need to have an example. Students need to include, as I mentioned at the start, at least 1 to 2 of the types of flexibility, preferably being 2 in a bit of detail. However, the main concern for me on this question, which is why most students got a 2 out of 3, was that the question asked students to show how the flexibility type would improve performance, which I did at the start of this little presentation with bolded. And this area is what students really struggle with. So they knew the idea behind it, or they knew the content, they just didn't know the application of applying flexibility training. How does that lead to an improvement in performance? So because of the inability to look at the improvements in performance, tie that part of the question in, most students were getting a 2 out of 3.